Tonight, our special transmission as Israeli soldiers expose the disturbing details of lawlessness during the operations in Gaza. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. Today is the 278th day since the onset of Israel's war. The Palestinian Health Ministry reports in the past 24 hours, 52 Palestinians have been killed by ongoing Israeli attacks in Gaza. 208 have been injured. Media reports say central, southern, and northern Gaza are being bombed heavily. This comes as Israel and U.S. officials and Hamas representatives are gathered in Qatar to negotiate a ceasefire deal. Early morning attacks today at Nuseirat have killed at least 8 civilians. The casualties include 6 children. Various other locations across northern Gaza City have also been targeted, resulting in numerous injuries. The Israeli military has dropped leaflets advising all civilians in Gaza City to move towards Deir al-Bala and Suwaida. This comes a day after at least 30 people were killed in an attack on a school in Khan Yunis. The headquarters of the United Nations Refugee Agency in Gaza City have also been struck. 4 schools have been hit in recent days, and key hospitals in northern Gaza have been forced to shut down. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant says 60% of Hamas fighters have been killed since October 7th. Gallant has announced 3,000 ultra-Orthodox soldiers will be drafted next year. The death toll from Israel's war is rising at an alarming rate. At the time of writing, at least 38,243 Palestinians have been killed. A revised report by the United Nations estimates another 10,000 civilians are buried under the rubble. 88,243 Palestinians have been injured. Israel's death toll from Hamas's attack stands at 1,139. Israel stands accused of genocide at the International Court of Justice. The court has ruled that Israel immediately halt its military operation in the city of Rafah. Nearly 300,000 students under the care of the United Nations Refugee Agency in Gaza have been unable to attend school for 9 months. The United Nations agency says the organization provides the essential service of educating hundreds of thousands of students through its 700 schools across Gaza. However, it says since the onset of war, it has been unable to continue with this important task. Following Israel's indiscriminate bombing, many schools run by the agency now serve as shelters for displaced Palestinians. Philippe Lazzarini, the agency's Commissioner General, says he's very concerned over the ongoing crisis. Lazzarini says there has been significant damage to UN facilities and several of its staff members have been killed. Israeli soldiers have revealed shocking details of unchecked violence and destruction in Gaza. Testimonies collected by an Israeli magazine from 6 soldiers highlight a culture of impunity. The testimonies show there are no rules for Israeli soldiers and that lethal force is used indiscriminately. Soldiers admit to shooting at will, setting homes on fire, and treating Gaza residents as potential targets. They blur the line between combatants and civilians at their own will. They admit using artificial intelligence for targeting Palestinians. One reservist recounts firing bullets for no reason. He has been firing into the sea, at the sidewalks, and on abandoned buildings. Another soldier who served in the regular forces in Gaza says there is complete freedom of action. He says there is no need to explain, you just shoot. He says every man between the ages of 16 and 50 years is suspected of being a terrorist. Yuval Green, a 26-year-old reservist who was willing to be named, says his whole battalion opened fire together like fireworks. He says the soldiers fired from tracer ammunition as well. He describes an area full of bodies with dogs walking around with rotting body parts. He recalls the horrific smell of death. Before the arrival of international aid convoys, bodies are cleared away hastily with bulldozers. Yemen's Houthi rebels have claimed responsibility for a drone attack on a crucial site in Israel's southern city of Eilat. Houthi military spokesperson Yahya Sadi says the strike targeted its mark accurately. The attack has been aided by the Iraqi Islamic resistance. Sadi says the joint efforts are meant to support Palestinians and end Israeli aggression and blockade in Gaza. Israeli forces deny any breach of Israeli airspace. They say they intercepted a suspicious aerial target near southern Israel. The Houthis previously targeted Israeli-owned and Israeli-bound ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. Consequently, Eilat port has ceased operations, declaring bankruptcy. Several Western nations, including Italy, Canada, and Belgium, have seized defense exports to Israel amidst its ongoing war in Gaza. This move follows restrictions on raw material sales to Israel that could be used for ammunition. Suppliers from European countries have reportedly cut off communication with Israeli counterparts. Spain has blocked a weapons shipment destined for Israel from docking. On the other hand, Serbia continues to provide military supplies via airlift. The Israeli Defense Ministry and Army are concerned about potential ammunition shortages. Their efforts to boost local production. However, domestic ammunition for Israel is more costly than imports. The remains of 14 victims of the Srebrenica genocide have been transported to Potocari village by the government of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The remains will be buried in the village. Every year on July 11th, newly identified victims of the genocide are buried in a memorial cemetery in Potocari. This year's ceremony precedes the 29th anniversary of the genocide that took place in 1995. Crowds gathered in the capital, Sarajevo, and nearby town of Visoko to bid farewell to recently identified victims. The coffins were draped in national flags. The youngest victim is 17-year-old Beriz Mujic, and the oldest, Hamid Salic, is 68 years old. The burial of the victims represents the enduring search for closure among families still awaiting answers. The United Nations General Assembly recently designated July 11th as Srebrenica Genocide Remembrance Day. The day honors the memory of over 6,700 buried victims in Potocari's memorial cemetery. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a nonprofit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.